Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Q Points. I am Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, also known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, people?
Ooh, J-Ray, it's about, you know what? It's so funny that we're doing this particular topic because we are right on the precipice of prom season.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. You are absolutely right. The kids is getting ready with their gowns and things, and we talking about slow jams.
It's talking about slow jams, so we're getting ready to see stretch limo, Hummers, and do they still do that?
I think they
The
still
Hummer?
do that. Their stretch limo, all the SUVs have a stretch at this point.
Right.
So if there is an SUV, there's a stretch limo version.
So before we get into that, gotta ask, how are you doing?
I am doing super, super well. It has been crazy as usual. We're managing it as best we can. And that's what I got. How are you doing?
I'm really good actually. I'm good. I am doing the same thing, managing it. It does feel like I told you the other day, it really feels like the weeks are blending together again, even though we're outside somewhat, even though I don't know, I think it's just this overlay of the pandemic that really makes it feel like time is nothing
Right.
and things are starting to blend in closely because it feels like Sundays creep up on me a lot faster than before. And Sundays have become another work day for me because I play slow jams at Rocksteady ATL,
Yes.
which is a bar and lounge and really good restaurant. And on Sundays, they like to do what they call slow jam. And it's a dinner, nice dinner, nice atmosphere of playing slow jams, R&B slow jams. You're not getting no birthday songs. Nobody's getting on the mic shouting you out for your birthday. None of that stuff. It's cool. It's calm. It's sexy. It's all the things that you want if you hear about an event called slow jam.
Right.
And so tonight, like you said, we are talking about slow jams. And this topic came up because how did this topic come up?
Well,
What were we
Slow
speaking of?
Drag ATL has been doing a lot of good work, and we are such a fan. We've actually posted about their events here. I'm going to pull up their link and put it in the chat. But, in talking about, well, one, what you're doing, because I actually have a question about what you're doing over at Rocksteady, but then also looking at what Slow Drag has been doing and how they've really been building a movement there. I think we're in this interesting place where we are craving like intimacy in this way that we haven't had in a while.
Yeah.
And so I think, that's why this is coming up. But I'm curious actually, over when you are playing, what's been the reaction from folks as you've been playing these sets? Because I know you've had some really cool experiences.
Yeah. It runs the gamut. First of all, shout out to Stanley Johnson. We see you. Thank you for tuning in this evening, Stanley. And for joining us on Q Points. But the reactions have run the range, right? Because the people that come to Rocksteady are a wide range of ages. I see families with 80-year-olds are having their birthdays there, and of course I see um children, which is weird.
Right.
And, you know, I'm like, okay, I was gonna play some kind of raunchy, but now there's a kid in here. I can't do that.
Right.
But anyway, so I've had some really fun experiences. I will say I get to play. I get to play some stuff that's off the wall that nobody you wouldn't think to hear of, because I got to play something like Jill Scott's Epiphany,
Oh, that's
which
dope. That's
is
a dope joint.
it's a dope joint. It's spoken word, and it's flirty and nasty,
Boo boo
and yeah, and it's kind of got that drive. You could tell I'm of the hip hop era, because not only do I play generational slow jams or historical slow jams, but I play stuff that has a little edge to it. And I remember I dropped Epiphany, and there was a young lady at the bar, and she was in mid sentence, and she looked at me and she said, she did the play and started doing a body roll on the bar, like that's it. You know, it was body rolling, and I was like, I got you. I did the Ted Lange. For those of you, if you're old enough to know who Ted Lange is, put that in the chat. But I did the point, like, I got you. And then on the other spectrum of that is one of the servers. I'll never forget, I dropped Omar's "There's Nothing Like This." Real, nice sway song, real sexy. And the server, she started singing along to it. And I was like, okay, this, you get this, young lady. And she's like, oh my God, I feel like my grandmother's singing this song. I said, your grandmother?
I'm like, grandmother?
How old is your grandmother? Because that means your grandmother got a little closer to my age or a little bit older. But she was just like, oh yeah, my grandma loves this song. And I used to sing it with her when I was a kid. And I was just like, it made me pause, and I was like, okay. But that's to be expected.
Right.
But I said all that to say, I'm able to play a wide range of things. And sometimes I have to push beyond and get out of my head and not think about what some of the reactions might be, because there's going to be someone in there that is really going to enjoy the cut that I'm playing.
Yeah.
And, so just the sentiment, keeping it sentimental, keeping it sexy at times, keeping it a little nasty, because I have played Downtown by SWE, keeping it raunchy, a little raunchy, but yeah, because that's the kind of atmosphere that we're in now. We have this melting of generations now that want to hang out, that want to hear different things, and you have DJs of different ages that are still putting it down, and you are going to hear a wide range of music.
Yeah. For you, Sir Daniel, what makes a good slow jam for DJ Sir Daniel?
For me, it's about I have to be enveloped by the sound. I have to feel like I'm being taken completely out of my element. I need to be transported. So I don't know. To me, less is more. I like slow jams that have, that might have a lot of innuendo. I like slow jams that have a very sweet sentiment to it, and an intention of, off the bat what is supposed to happen with the slow jam. It's either supposed to make you dance, or it's supposed to make you want to, do a horizontal dance. And so, but yeah, I just really appreciate really dope lyrics, but that bass line, I think the bass line is it. The bass line is what really takes you to that level, to that next place, because it sets the tone. It sets the pacing of the slow jam for me. And now you, Mr. J. Ray, what is the hallmark of a good slow jam for you?
For me, I like a little bit of groove.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny that you mentioned like the bass line, because I do think in so often in slow jams, like that becomes like a drive, that becomes a thing that I pay attention to. Well, generally in music, but in particular in slow jams. So I like a little bit of groove. I also, like you, enjoy intentional lyrics. I don't need them. I'm less inclined, although I do often, I'm less inclined to like direct slow jams, which are like exactly describing what
Mm-hmm.
you want using like colloquial language. Like, I want you to give me a little, you know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, are they talking about sex or are they not talking about sex? I'm not sure.
Oh.
I like a little bit of that. And I also really enjoy melody. So I
Mm.
think that is also similar to you as well. Like the song has to take me somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of entice me. So yeah, those are kind of the big things for me in a slow jam. And I'm curious, for the people that are watching, shout out to those of you that are checking us out wherever you are checking us out. Let us know, what is the hallmark of a good slow jam for you, and drop it so we can tell the people what you said.
And while they're doing that, J Ray, you know what we like to do all the time is we like to share our personal picks with you. And we're just gonna start off. Is these are in no particular order. So J Ray, hit us off. What is one of your top three all time slow jams?
Okay, so one of my top 3 all-time slow jams, Adore by Prince. Which is interesting. So Adore by Prince is an album cut. Although it doesn't
Mm,
feel like an album. Well, okay, so that's the interesting thing about slow jams, right?
right.
Especially in the 80s and the 90s. They weren't always a single, right? It could,
Mm,
you know, because typically back then you had to release an up tempo joint and then a slow jam was coming. But you could have a slow jam album cut that becomes like a radio hit. So Adore
sure.
became a radio hit for Prince, which was a live recording of the song,
Mm,
right? Which also made it really special. And oh, y'all are dropping some good joints in the chat. We're gonna come to those in a minute. But
okay.
this particular song has all of the things. It has the melody, it has the amazing lyrics. Prince is singing his face off.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's my first favorite all-time slow jam.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, one of mine is, as you can see above me, I'm paying respect to my brother, my unibrow brother, I'll be sure. And shout out to my sister Peppermint Gaddy, who's on the check-in, Trey, Wani Love. Thank you all for joining us this evening. But yes, I'll be sure. Oh, this love is so. What can I say about this? Okay, so picture it. Thir- 13 years old, because this album came out when I was in 8th grade. I was kind of on the I'll be sure hate train because, you know, everybody was fawning on him. He's the
Right.
cute light skinned guy. He's singing in falsetto and he's doing all the things. And I'm like, this guy's cheesy, blah, blah, blah. But one of my homegirls, I think it was Shawana Scott, shout out to Shawana Scott, she lent me the cassette. She lent me the cassette of this album, In Effect Mode. And the second cut is Who This Love.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, what I said earlier was that I love a song to take me somewhere. Is everybody familiar with the Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica? It's a very popular waterfall that you can climb up to the top, you can climb down, and stand underneath the waterfall and let the water cascade on you. Picture that in music form, but in slow motion. That's how I feel when I listen to "Oh This Love" by I'll Be Sure. And my arms are stretched out against the rocks underneath this waterfall, and this music is cascading down on me. And it's, it's the synthesizers, it's, you know, the vocoder, all the effects
Mm-hmm.
on his voice. all of that stuff is just, I couldn't even tell you really what he's singing about. I know what he's singing about, but I don't really even care about it. I just love the music itself, the way
Yes.
it makes me feel, the way I feel transported with that particular song. So yes, so Who's Love by I'll Be Sure. And we picked, did you notice that we picked two songs by two brothers that sing in falsetto?
Yep.
And this is something that we have to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
The placement, the place that falsetto, male falsetto voices have in our canon, in our R&B canon as a community, as a culture, is very important. But I'm wondering who said, let me sing in this falsetto, and that made all the women just swoon and gasp and like, this is what I need. And is this man going up in a falsetto that just takes these slow jams over the top? Because like I said, we got I'll Be Sure, we got Prince and others. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The falsetto is incredibly important. So, well, there's a couple of dope things about the falsetto. So, often when I think of falsetto, I think of like Marvin Gaye, and Marvin Gaye kind of playing in the falsetto as well, really effectively. And what I think it signifies, though, is it kind of hits. There is something about a man singing in a falsetto that I think does signify like sensuality in a way. Because there's a vulnerability, I think, in singing in that octave, because you're kind of signifying that, I'm not afraid to go up there. You know what I'm saying? I know that I would normally, sing down here, but I'm not afraid to go up here. And I'm not afraid to go up here when I'm singing about you. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's something psychological that happens when we hear the falsetto. Now, I will say, I think we're in an interesting moment where, and I've said this a lot, where you hear a lot of falsetto now. Like, there's a lot of guys singing in that kind of way. In particular, when you're doing like some slow jams, you get a lot of this today. And I've always said, like, particularly in the last 5 years on radio, I don't hear a lot of like, you don't hear a lot of, there's no Keith Washingtons, there's no Teddy Pendergrasses singing at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when there's a slow jam, you're kind of going up. But yeah, no, I see the falsetto as signifying tenderness in the male voice, if the man can get up there. Because, of course, we know Maxwell is another person who goes up into that range as well.
Let's not forget The Dream. The Dream wrote a song called Falsetto.
Right.
And to your point about that whole, also it signifies the way a man's voice might change where he's at that climactic part of.
Exactly. Yep.
So, y'all are grown, you know what that means.
Yes.
So, yes, let us know what you think about male falsettos in the chat as well. We have, ladies and gents, what do you think about the male falsetto? And along those lines, you mentioned radio. Radio is super important, and I don't think we could talk about slow jams without talking about the Quiet Storm, and we can't talk about the Quiet Storm format without paying homage to Melvin Lindsay, who created the Quiet Storm format in Washington, D.C. He unfortunately passed at the very young age of 36. But in that short amount of time that he, in his radio career, he created the Quiet Storm format, in which a lot of the songs that we've grown up on have a place. And all of us can think of, we know what time it is when we hear that Quiet Storm drop on the radio. We know what that means. You know what it signifies. If you're a certain age, it means it's time for you to go to bed.
Yes.
If you're an adult, it means that I can slow down the rest of the day. I can ease back and, start thinking about some adult things in that same nature. I used to work, shout out to Joyce Littell. I used to work at the people station, V103, It's amazing how I go into that radio voice. I used to work there with Joyce Mattel on her love and relationship show, which was a part of her Quiet Storm format. And legitimately, while I witnessed her doing her thing and being out in public, um, people will come up to her and say, Joyce, in the amount of time that you were on the air, I grew up listening to you. And she would say, I probably played something that got you conceit. And she wasn't lying. She was not lying. A lot of young people were conceived, especially throughout the 90s. These young adults probably were conceived because of the Quiet Storm and the importance of that in our community.
Yeah. The Quiet Storm is still, to this day, one of my favorite points of the radio, because there's a couple of things that happened and the Quiet Storm. So for all of your radio stations, like, and particularly if you played like contemporary R&B and hip hop, the Quiet Storm was the point where you could have crossover, right? Where it was, you got older stuff too. Mm-hmm. So it was an opportunity where if all day you're hearing like contemporary R&B and hip hop, where, 9 o'clock, you know what I'm saying, 9 or 10 o'clock, somebody's about to come on the radio and you're about to get stuff from the past eras. So mm-hmm. I got introduced, the Quiet Storm for me. Oh my God. Wow. That I remember when I was 11, 12, 13, because I had a radio there's a lot of music in my house. I had a stereo in my room. Mm-hmm. And I would go to sleep to the Quiet Storm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would put it on and put it on really low. So I literally went to sleep hearing the Isley Brothers and hearing the Temptations and hearing Troop all at the same time, right? So I could hear stuff that was on Troop's Attitude, you know what I'm saying, in 1990 and 91, and also hear stuff from the 70s and the 60s. So it was like, it's an important crossover moment where we get introduced to other areas of Black music. And I think that format, even today, even the DJs all sound the same. No matter where you are in the country, your Quiet Storm DJ has a sound.
They have to sound like, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Quiet Storm. This is your DJ Sir Daniel. I'm going to take you on a romantic trip throughout the atmosphere. And I hope you have your candles lit and your glass of wine poured. So sit back, relax, and listen to the Quiet Storm.
And then, hold on, and then you like, Leo, Cancer.
But you can't help but love that. There's a place for that in our community. We made space for that in our community because we had to make space for love. We made space for connecting and made space for affection, which is why I believe events like Slow Drag is so popular, because to your earlier point, people want to connect. And I think even after this pandemic, people want to connect even more, even if it means like slow jamming on the dance floor. You might even just two-step with the person. You may not even touch them, but you want to just be in the same room on the same wavelength with somebody just for a few minutes in the right atmosphere. But before I want to check in with you on something. Do you recall the first like love song or ballad that you became really cognizant of and even started singing along to? Because I remember mine. While you're thinking about that, I'll tell y'all, mine was New Edition's Is This the End?
Great choice.
And it was so, and I imagine 7-year-old me, like singing along at the top of my lungs, like I've experienced all this heartbreak, but for whatever reason, it resonated with me, because maybe it was because their voices were young enough to where I can identify with the tone voices, but then the sentiment of the record struck me. It was, at an early age, I was like, is this the end? And, you could feel like, wow, this is really sad. Something's ending. and something is hurting this person, and I had an empathetic reaction with this song, and that's what made me connect with that song.
Wow. That is a really good question. I think I think actually the first slow song that is omnipresent in my life is The Temptations' My Girl. And I think because my dad was such a huge Temptations fan, like I feel like it was just always in my ear. And so that idea of connection, that idea of singing this sentiment, and having to slow dance to this song is probably the first song that I remember kind of connecting to and could sing. I mean, who can't start I've got sunshine on a cloudy day? Like, it's just great lyrics. So there's songs that you can sing. But you know, Sir Daniel, so you said something, and I know we talked about this before we got on, but I think this is a good place for it. People absolutely want to connect. They want to feel some way to be intimate with other people that isn't sexual, right? And I realized, y'all, so for those of y'all that are listening, I realized that as an adult, as a gay man, I have never slow dragged with another dude. And that's weird to me. Like, that's weird to me. But I also recognize that we are in a moment where I was kind of coming of age where music was changing, and there wasn't like there wasn't like red light parties or blue light parties. There wasn't like a place where you can put that in the club. And which is another reason why I'm so happy that Slow Drag is doing what they are doing, because I think it's reigniting this idea that this is something that people need too. And I'm wondering how we can spread the word that we should slow drag more.
You're spreading the slow drag word.
Yeah.
And what they call the propaganda, the slow drag propaganda. And that's fine. Yeah, now you brought up a memory you brought up something for me, and I'm trying to think. Slow dancing, I always felt awkward with slow dancing. I always felt awkward with slow dancing, and I remember it being the only time I think I've actually slow danced was at my prom. And you remember the slow jam that was the big thing at your prom? Of course, class of '93, Ours Was Weak by SWV.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was for 95. I would have to look it up.
Okay. So yeah, I recall that was the only, but there wasn't any real connection with my date for the evening, because she was somebody that I worked with at Winn-Dixie that I asked at the last minute, and I was like, hey, what you doing such and such night? Because I needed a date for the prom. And yeah, there wasn't any real connection there, and I think that speaks to it speaks to a lot of different things, which we don't have the bandwidth to discuss during this particular show. But there's a lot. It's a lot of unpacking to be done as far as each of us individually and how we process affection and togetherness. But I do know that there were generations that came before us that learning how to slow dance was part of like school curriculum, which is it blows my mind. It's like, oh yeah, there's a such and such dance, and they actually practice with these dances. They practice how to ask a young lady to a dance. They had those reverse dances where the girls had to ask the guys out, and those are things that were instilled in the community and how to do, and they were fostering this connection between us. But that didn't happen for us. We were expected to. It was just like a thing that you saw on television. If you saw 16 Candles, we're like, okay, well, if I go to prom, I'm supposed to slow dance with somebody just because they said I was supposed to slow dance. But
right.
that doesn't, at least I don't know. I don't have any teenagers. I don't have any kids that I've been sending to prom and stuff like that. So I don't know if that is even a thing anymore. But yeah, it would be, again, coming back to, I know I'm talking all over the place, but again, bringing it back to like an event like Slow Drag, the amount of people that go out to those events, it's staggering because it's needed. That people are figuring out, oh, we still need each other.
We still need each other. And even you just going in and that's a much longer conversation. Cause also thinking about the idea of how gendered that whole experience is. And it's like, it's what it's setting. And it's like this setting up this false experience of like, cause that may not be how folks, one, identify, or two, who they want to dance with. And it's like, how do we make this possible? But going back to your last point, we do know that we need each other, and and this experience of just enveloping someone along, or them enveloping you and you enveloping them, and then the music showering over you is really key. And it's something that I think we definitely have to get back to. Do we want to do our number twos?
Yes, this is
Let's
a good
do our number twos. You want to go first this time? Hold on one second.
Sure.
I'm going to pull it up. Give me 1 second. My system is doing a refresh, and we are going to come back. Okay, perfect. So
Missing You, again, like you were saying earlier, a lot of these slow jams were not like major cuts, or this is a album cut. It did have a video, but it was something, and I think this is an instance where the video influenced my love for the song, because it was haunting, it was romantic, it's filmed in black and white, and I'm a sucker for anything in slow motion. If a video is in slow motion, it makes it more romantic to me. It makes it sexier to me, because everything looks sexy in slow motion. Do you all not agree? Can I, let me know in the chat? Do things look more do things look sexier in slow motion? Drop it in the chat. Say, Sir Daniel, you're crazy, or say yes, I agree with you 100%. But it's not a very well-known song. It's a song by Soul II Soul featuring Kim Mizell on the vocals, who replaced Karen Wheeler. Of course, this was like during their second or third album. Yeah. And so it's just a damn good song. It's long enough to put on a sexy slow tape, for people who like to make mixtapes. Wait, have you ever made? I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay, you do your number two,
and then we're gonna talk about this. We got to talk about slow jam mixtapes.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna talk about mixtapes. We have to.
All right.
So Love Ballad by LTD, of course. Jeffrey Osborne is on vocals on that song.
You do a mean Jeffrey Osborne.
Well, we have much more than see. Jeffrey Osborne just entered the room.
Is Jeffrey Osborne in on this? Is he in there with? What's going on? Okay.
I just do a really good Jeffrey Osborne. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, this song, the refrain at the end, and what we have is much more than they can see, kind of repeated, is one, it reminds it's sensual, because it reminds you of kind of being in the act, right? But also it serves as a reminder, you know what I'm saying? And it's one of those songs that gets me every time. It just never gets old. And there's been multiple versions of it. I just love this song. I think it's well written. I think it's a great tune. And but this version, the original version, is the one. Yeah, I remember hearing it on my many nights listening to The Quiet Storm when I was a kid. LTD would come on and Jeffrey would come over the speaker, my little stereo speaker, singing, and it would put me right to sleep. So, yeah.
Now, would that have ended up on your mixtape though?
Love Ballad has not been on the it's called, I called it the sex mix. It didn't end up on there.
Call it the sex mix. Let's just call the thing a thing. The screw tape.
The screw tape, and not DJ Screw. It was
Screw. It's like, this is the, I'm about to screw, so I'm putting together a tape of songs, and we're probably delving into like our late teens to early 20s, of creating these mixtapes because we wanted to set a mood.
Right.
And I'm sure we're all guilty of doing this. But I've had some, when I think back on it, I've had some really nice stuff on some mixtapes, but I've had some absolutely ridiculous songs on the mixtape too that was supposed to, because you want to set the mood, you want to start off slow with like the foreplay, and then when you get to the get down, you want something that's a little more raunchy, and it's like, it has to reflect that mood.
Yes. So now here's the funny thing. So the funny thing about these mixes, I don't think I've ever actually employed them, because as much as you plan for this to happen the way you think it's going to happen, it kind of never really does, right? So these mixtapes, at least for me, and comment in the chat if this is different for you, but it's always been more of an idea than an actuality. But my most interesting song that often made it into these mixes was Nothing But a G Thing by Dr. Dre and Snoop. It's a
what?
It's
what? Is it the very? And I'm not judging. This is no judging.
Listen, this is my mix, Sir Daniel, and it was in there. What was it? It was the sample itself. The song has a whine to it, and then the guitar, and then that was pretty much it was the vibe of the song itself.
Okay.
It was just slow enough that it seemed to fit. What is a weird song that you may have included?
This song, and it makes me laugh every time I think about it because it's absolutely ridiculous. But the production at the time I thought was so dope because it sounded like Teddy Riley was back there playing on keyboards, and it had those kind of gospel chords that, kind of ascend, and there's a climax and everything. But it had absolutely nothing to do with love and sensuality. It was a song by BWP, Bitches with Problems. And the name of the song is the Pussy Still Good to You? Ridiculous, right? But the delivery is very, we're in the realm of like the Too Short, Freaky Tales era, where people are telling these great stories about their sexcapades to a slow beat, and it's very, we're talking about Freaks of the Industry by Digital Underground, Freaky Tales, all those things that people are incorporating, like samples of Art of Noise, Moments in Love, and they're rapping over it, and it's seductive, but it's nasty at the same time. And so, because we're of that era, we're of the, you and I are of the, I almost said his name, but we're of the guy that used to make those songs about Jeeps and stuff like that.
That was on the mix. That was lit. That's so sad. That song is so sad.
Well, we were of that, and we're of that ilk.
Right.
It's part of us. We're of the Jodeci, freaking you every freaking day, every freaking night. We're of that era. The Adina Howards, we came up with that.
Right.
To their credit, there was innuendo. It wasn't like strictly over, beating you in the head with it, no pun intended. But there was still some kind of innuendo to it, a little tongue in cheek to it. Whereas, now it's not so much now,
No. And I miss that part. I miss the idea of songwriting, because you had to be clever, right?
Had to be clever.
You had to be clever. And when I think to our number ones, like both of those, like I think they're both clever, you know, in this way that alludes to things. And I think we have gotten to a point where it's just like, nope, this is what the song is about. The song is about this. Whereas when we were kids, we could listen to something and there was some stuff that I literally didn't know was about sex until I became an adult. I didn't know that my number one was about sex until like I knew about like sex stuff, but that was more like late teens, early 20s. And I was like, oh, wait.
Imagine that moment where you're listening to to Minnie Riperton. That's not your number one, is it?
That's not my number one.
Okay, but that Come Inside.
Yeah. Inside My Love? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a perfect example.
The double entendre of come inside me.
Come inside inside my love. Come on in there.
Come here. But
that's what she was saying.
Nowadays is up the club.
Right.
Shooting up your club tonight. That's where we are, folks. We're shooting up the club now. But it's all in fun. But you're absolutely right. We could have been singing our hearts out to songs, and our parents would be like, "What you know about that? You need to tell me recite your times tables right now."
Literally, you can remember that song, but you can't.
But you don't know your timetables. You don't know your multiplication tables. That kind of thing. But yes. So we talked about sex playlists, and you know what? I want to. This would be a really fun contest for people to put together a sex list for us, and we could. Yeah, send us your suggestions for a sex mixtape playlist.
Absolutely.
And we will post it.
Absolutely.
The really dope suggestions, we're going to put that on a playlist and put it up for everybody to enjoy.
Absolutely.
At their leisure.
Absolutely. Please do that. Like, that would be something that was super dope. We haven't done a playlist in a while. This would be really fun. So yes, if you have some ideas of what you would put on your list or what you have put on your list, definitely do it. Definitely let us know and we'll come up with a list. And child, you don't know. There may be babies conceived to the Q Points playlist, and we'll be talking about that 20 years from now. How about it?
So when you name your child Q or Qella, we'll know which episode you named them after.
Qella.
Qella.
So we're going to do our number ones.
Let's do our number ones.
So my number one, You Are My Starship by Norman Connors with Michael Henderson on vocal. This was from the album You Are My Starship, and which also includes Phyllis Hyman's version of Bet You By Golly Wow's on this record. Yeah, so we just talked about Innuendo. Perfect example. This entire song is literally listen, this person, I think woman is the way he gendered this song. This woman was his starship. You know what I'm saying? It helped him take him up tonight and don't be late because you are my starship. Listen, the innuendo. I can't just outright say, you know what I'm saying, what you do to me, but you can say you are my starship. Great song, point blank period, well sung. Exactly, Wani. But yeah, so that's my number one. It's a great tune, and if you haven't heard this song, which is weird if you're listening to Q Points and haven't heard You Are My Starship, but you should definitely check it out. So if you stumble on this show and haven't heard it, go play You Are My Starship by Norman Connors, please. And
all right, my number one. So picture 14-year-old Sir Daniel with his En Vogue cassette tape. And it gets to the point of this song. First of all, it's one of those classic R&B cowbell songs, and where it's got the that Keith Sweat, I believe, really has mastered that on his debut album, was that heavy 808
Mm-hmm.
and that boom, 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 boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, boom, and the cowbell in the background. And on top of that, Terry, who is singing lead on this, I believe, is singing her face off. And she goes through these, she starts off in the bar, I'm so glad to see. And it was that moment that kind of like, oh, okay, is she talking about this very special moment of when they're finally actually about to, to intimate with each other. And she takes you through these different emotions, and something about it I loved hearing that song. I love, singing along to it, and with my imaginary vocals, like I could really sing and belt it out. But the sentiment is, please, is don't go, you know, stay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the very crux of it all is this sentiment of, I want you in my life, and I really need to have somebody in my life, because when you're around, things are better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the crux of all of the songs, that's what you find, is that, hey, you make me feel like a better person when you're around me, and I don't want that feeling to end. So I'm going to come up with all these different metaphors and sing all these different notes to make you understand that. But yeah, that ended up on the sex playlist, of course, because of
Right.
the driving beat, and the very descriptive, we're going to, you know, lyrics of this song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my number one, and it's so that was refreshing, talking about ballads and the gamut that they fit. You can talk about sex, and you can talk about really wanting to marry somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You could talk about heartbreak. I don't think we didn't even scratch the surface on heartbreak and expressing
Absolutely.
heartbreak. Like I said, "Is This the End?" was the first
Yep.
song that slow song that I related to, and that was about heartbreak. But when you think about, some of our greatest ballads are about the end of a relationship,
Yep.
or the end of something, you
Yep.
know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well. Like, it is refreshing to have this conversation because slow jams just play an important role in how we understand love too, like as people. Because when you are a kid, romantic love, right? Because when we are young people, we understand like paternal and maternal love, like we get what that is. But these songs help us to see what envision what romance could be like, you know, and putting words to that, and also giving us comfort. So when I think of like Broken Hearted, you know what I'm saying, by Brandy, and giving us
Mhm.
language to deal with hard things. You know what I'm saying? These songs play an important role in black music history. And no and nothing to sneeze at. Many of us are here because of some of these songs.
We absolutely are, and that might be, to our credit, to having such strong generations, is that because we have these songs to help procreate, if
Right.
necessary, to think about it. But yeah, I love how you put that. These songs gave us words when we couldn't articulate the feelings that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these singers did that for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's why there is such a place for songwriting in our thoughts about Black music and what it means to us as a culture. And because if we want to go there, we're talking about people that were separated,
Mm-hmm.
until it was time to breed.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we were thrusted back together to create families. And the music helped us along for all intents and purposes.
Yep.
You know, the music was there as a buffer, as a way for people to communicate what they couldn't communicate, to put people in the mood.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to, you know, take it there, folks, but you know, when you think about it, I think that's where a lot of the passion comes out of Black music, from those experiences, as a people that were brought to this country against their will, and you know, the trauma, it helped to deal with the trauma that we're all still dealing with
Yep.
all these years later. So
Absolutely. No, I didn't even think of that. You are absolutely right. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
yeah.
Okay, one song, I do want to mention a song because it almost made
Mhm.
my top 3.
Okay.
But it is you know, I'm from this generation. Troops, All I Do Is Think of You. Chucky Booker produced that joint. Shout out to Chucky Booker. Yeah, that is one of those joints where, because when I would go to sleep, you know, 11, 12, you know, whatever, that was the joint. You know what I mean? And that song speaks just like those other songs to this sentiment. I can't wait to get, you know, home each day. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things, because all of these songs are about being together with someone else. And that's powerful.
Very powerful. Yeah, wow. And see what the thing about this conversation also, there's also been this conversation, and we're not going to get into the whole R&B is dead conversation, but because there's a lot of people who want to say it is because the R&B doesn't sound like it used to. And I get it. I mean, we kind of touched on it. There isn't much innuendo. Everything is pretty much straight up. I think what they're reacting to is there's not a lot of the feeling. Like there's only a few people that can still translate what they're feeling, and we feel it too. Like I think that's why Jasmine Sullivan has been so successful, because she's able to use her instrument and make us feel what she's going through or what she's talking about, and able to win R&B, you know, Grant Album of the Year. And I think that's what people are really, what they're reacting to is what they're not getting is that whole, I don't feel it. I don't feel what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's clever. It's fun. It's a nice beat behind it. But yeah, I guess people of a certain generation don't feel it.
Yeah. I think you're right
But
about Jasmine. I will say, you know, there are some joints that hit really, really hard. I think the Eric Roberson Lessons was a perfect example of that. This year, was that last year? It might have been last year. Anyway, there are these moments where these joints will come out and you'll be like, ooh, yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, Jasmine is definitely one of those. And I think it's about encouraging folks to, one, study the history of the music, and also not necessarily read, but just lean into storytelling. I think, like, what's a way that I can say this that's the least obvious way. Jimmy Jam talked about the fact that the reason why he loves Terry Lewis as a lyricist is because he finds a different way to write about love every time. So he doesn't write about it straight away. Like, he finds another way to communicate it that's clever. And so I'm like, so find ways to be clever.
I think that's a really good way to put it. And yeah, find ways to be clever about what you're saying and mean it, you know, put some real intention behind it. And I think people will automatically pick up on it and enjoy it. So, wow, we went a whole hour talking about this and had a really great time. Thank you all for tuning in and, you know, listening to us go on about our are really horrendous mixtapes from back in the day. We still want to see what your suggestions are and what's, some of your additions to the mixtape, the sex tape would be. The Q Points sex, or what are we going to call it? The Q Points screw tape, or we'll
Q
come up
Points
with something.
love baby making mix. We could do a whole thing.
A whole thing.
A whole thing. Listen, y'all, make sure that you go on over to the website, become a Q Points Insider. We would really appreciate it. The link is in the chat. Make sure that you also, if you aren't already, follow us on Apple Podcasts and make sure that you leave us a review there. It really helps us. Also, please go on over to Podchaser. Leave us a review there. I say this every show, but it's true. It helps to spread the word about the show if you leave us a review there, because it impacts other platforms. So we would love it if you popped on over to Podchaser. The link to that is also in the chat. And if you are joining us anywhere but Facebook, anywhere but YouTube, you should go on over to YouTube and subscribe to Q Points as well.
Yes, indeed. Oh, if you're join me this Saturday, I'm going to be doing another Sugar Honey on the Rocks episode, the Spring Affair edition. So 2 p.m. excuse me, Eastern Standard Time on Mixcloud, mixcloud.com/the Sir Daniel. And excuse me, it's going to be a really good time. You know how I do represent for the ladies. So J-Ray, what do I always tell the kids at this time of the day? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I'm Sir Daniel.
I am J-Ray, y'all. Peace.
This has been Q Points. Thank you. See you next week.